rising in support of this amendment today. It was pretty devastating during the pandemic. I have 4 kids, all in public schools in my district, and they all had to do school from home on a computer. And it was devastating emotionally and educationally. And for the first time in our state's history, we scored the lowest on the National Assessment of Education Progress, our nation's report card. And on top of that, this learning loss disproportionately affected rural districts like mine, where school districts in my district, like the Shelton School District, had a stunning 13% comprehension in math. And we have to do a lot better to try to make up for that learning loss and do better, because education funding only matters so much as that it raises the comprehension rates and raises the education of our kids. On top of that, it shows that as these test scores start to fall, that the public starts to lose trust in our public education system, and that is evidenced by a stunning lack of enrollment, where 50% increases in homeschooling and 5% increases in private schooling, and a 40,000 or so loss of students from K-12 public school systems, which crush school budgets, especially in local areas. Or rural areas, I should say, Mr. Speaker. On top of that, as you know previously, I have kids that are in special ed, and special ed is a part of basic ed, which, by the way, is our paramount duty. It's explicitly written in our state's constitution, and that's how we should prioritize this budget with this amendment, is to try to make up for some of this learning loss, which has created a lot of childhood anxiety, violence in our schools, but also, devastatingly, drug abuse in our schools, where kids have been ODing in my district. We have to do a lot better for these kids, because they're our future. They're our future. They're our future workforce. They're our future legislature. And on top of that, we need to be more flexible about how we deliver outcomes for students, and not just for compensation in our K-12 system. We have to be able to get money for grants for after-school tutoring and so many more other ways in which students can learn nowadays. And on special ed, we should be funding more into special ed. It is part of our basic paramount duty. And if we don't include some of that additional funding for special ed, we're not really hitting the mark for what is their basic education needs. During the pandemic, a lot of kids on IEPs didn't get the services and supports that they desperately need. And again, disproportionately affected in rural areas like mine. I would urge a yes vote, because we need to prioritize our K-12 funding and our special ed funding and be flexible for students and parents in our state, Mr. Speaker. Urge a yes.